why'd you choose QU?
So for me, actually, when I had applied to Quinnipiac, I hadn't really evaluated as much. I just sort of applied and said, hey, we'll see what happens. And then right around the time came to deciding university, I decided, like, hey, let me just go to the campus and see how it felt. And the thing that pulled me to come here was it felt comfortable. Like, I could envision myself growing as a student, and which has definitely happened since me in high school. Is 180 degrees from me now. But yeah, I saw myself growing as a person, and growing as a student, and luckily it shaped out that way.
So I wanted an experience that kind of showcased the like it was a microcosm of like our society. Like I think I always say this. Like I think a big thing you say is like the idea of like the university of the future kind of sticks out to me. Like and also just kind of worked in my favor because I graduated from a high school that was very small. It was like my graduating class had 35 kids.
Where was that?
Capital Prep in Hartford. So I came from that type of environment where I knew I wanted something that was more intimate, and like Quinnipiac kind of just had like that small to medium like class size range where like I would know people and I feel like I would have like a community and a family, but it wouldn't be like my high school where like everybody knows everything about you. And then location wise, you know, I lived in Connecticut at the time, so it was close enough to home where it didn't feel overwhelming because like, you know, like family's important to me. And then taking tours and meeting people like DeQuan Stuckey, who was also an alumni, he was another positive like influence and role model that kept like kind of made me take my first step in the door. But I think the biggest part of like, because I didn't even know if I really wanted to go to college or stay in college. And I talked about that with you my freshman year. Like, I just didn't see the purpose at the time for me. Like, it just wasn't, like I was just gonna start working or like pursuing like my dreams, aspirations, whatever. Like I had this very aggressive faith in myself that whatever I did, as long as I did to the best of my ability, I'd be fine. I came into Quinnipiac, I was a poli-sci econ double major, but like it just wasn't for me, and like trying to figure out who I was at the time and the man I wanted to be. Like I'm not trying to stroke your ego or whatever, because I know I'm gonna hear about this after, but he really helps kind of cement me here, make this my home. And then, you know, getting involved, you kind of create more and more of like a connection and like a tie to the university, like whether it be like student government, BSU, whatever. I like just more and more saw myself and saw the connections with everybody I've met that was just like, nah, this is like my home.
But you know, this is an interesting observation that I think is probably true of each of you. If you all look at you from the outside in, you would never think that you had any insecurities or any hesitancies.
Yeah.
I mean, Esau would be on the extreme of extroversion side. I think for most people, because you're such an but what people see is not necessarily who you were or who you think you are in terms of how you operate.
What made me choose Quinnipiac? It was funny because a family member had mentioned to me about Quinnipiac, how it was a good school for the School of Communications, because I'm a journalism major. I had came to visit the school and I was like, okay, the School of Comm has bomb resources. The school was absolutely beautiful, and I was like, okay, I can see myself here. When I had came and visited campus, I was very nervous because I was from my hometown. I went to a diverse high school, and coming to a predominantly white institution and not seeing so many familiar or diverse faces, I was like, oof, like, I don't know if I could do this. But distinctly, I remember when I was walking on campus and I was going to take a tour in the CAF, and I had but I had looked in one of the studios near the suites. There was a group of girls in there, and they had gestured a wave to me to come on in. And it was about 4 or 5 black girls in the room. And they were like, hey, like, how are you feeling? And I was like, this is it. Like, this is what I was waiting for. This was a sign that, okay, I can see myself here. I can see myself growing. I definitely struggled my freshman year. I wasn't as involved. I was more patient with how my adjustment to the school was going to be. I wanted to take that kind of pause. My sophomore year, I was like, okay, I need to get more involved. And then junior year, I'm here. I'm ready to open more doors for myself. It's a journey, but it's worth every step. Like Esau mentioned retention. I wanted to leave after freshman year. I had started my application to another university, but something was like, you only been here for a couple months. You need to see what else you have in store for yourself.
And actually to that, so for me, Quinnipiac had become the place where I grew as a student after my freshman year. And I was fairly social. However, it was the demographics thing. Like, I hadn't really taken the chance to explore the black spaces, right, on campus. And after my freshman year, I was sort of going through a similar thought process. But, you know, what got me to stay was, you know, thinking that, hey, there's a BSU, there's an ACSU. Let me see what's going on over there.
We got you.
And my sophomore year, it made all the difference. It filled that hole that I was sort of feeling socially. It got me to realize, like, you have to actively seek out these spaces. You have to build them yourself if you don't know. And I don't think that's something, you know, unfortunately, a way everyone, you know, sort of comes at it.